Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The long journey of going through so many chapters of Krishna's teachings to Uddhava. We're at the very beginning stage, starting with text 5 and 6 this morning, chapter 7. My dear Uddhava, you should not remain here on the earth once I have abandoned this world. My dear devotee, you are sinless, but in Kali Yuga, the people will be addicted to all types of sinful activities, semicolon. Therefore, do not stay here. And the summary commentary by Bhaktisiddhanta of what Vishwanath wrote. We'll read the full commentary of Vishwanath, but he writes, My dear Uddhava, this is a translation of the verse. You should not remain on earth after I return to my eternal abode in the spiritual sky, because Kali Yuga will influence human beings so that they will be accustomed to performing all kinds of sinful activities. For this reason, you should not remain here. Now, there was some question about, Lord Chaitanya says, Na danam, na janam, na sundarim, manmajamani shvare, bhavatad bhakti rahituki. So, Lord Chaitanya says birth after birth, and Krishna says, leave this place. We discussed that. Can we do something about the social distancing right here? Somehow, maybe one of you go over there. There's a specific instruction for some specific service for Uddhava, and it's just fine that he's giving specific instructions for a specific devotee. The BBT purport. In this age of Kali, it's a long purport. And you'll note when we read the BBT purports, it's drawing from the commentaries, which we'll also read. In this age of Kali, human beings are totally unaware that the Supreme Personality of Godhead comes personally to the earth to manifest his transcendental pastimes as they are enacted in the spiritual world. Heedless of the authority of the Personality of Godhead, the fallen souls of Kali Yuga become engulfed in bitter quarrel and cruelly harass one another. Because people in Kali Yuga are addicted to polluted, sinful activities, they are always angry, lusty, and frustrated. In Kali Yuga, the devotees of the Personality of Godhead who are engaged in the ever-increasing loving service of the Lord should never be attracted to living on the earth, the population of which is covered in the darkness of ignorance and devoid of any loving relationship with the Lord. Thus, Lord Krishna advised Uddhava not to remain on earth in Kali Yuga. In fact, in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord advises all living entities that they should never remain anywhere within the material universe during any age. Therefore, every living being should take advantage of the pressures of Kali Yuga to understand the overall useless nature of the material world and surrender himself at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Following the footsteps of Sri Uddhava, one should surrender to Krishna and go back home, back to Godhead. Here's Bhaktisiddhanta's purport or commentary. Human beings in the age of Kali are very interested in pursuing sinful propensities because they are unaware of the advent of the Supreme Lord. So the devotees of the Supreme Lord, who are sober and gentle, do not wish to live in this world, which is covered by the darkness of ignorance and is devoid of a loving relationship with the Supreme Lord. One of the symptoms of a devotee is that he takes pleasure in residing at a place where the Lord enacts his pastimes. Thus, Lord Krishna advises Uddhava not to remain on earth in Kali Yuga. Then comes a reasonably long reference to this verse, 11.7.5, in Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's essay on Brahmanism and Vaishnavism, or Brahmana and Vaishnava. You familiar? Yes, okay, good. Religious principles stood on 4 legs in Satya Yuga, on 3 legs in Treta Yuga, on 2 legs in Dwapara Yuga, and on 1 leg only in Kali Yuga. The Brahmanas, who are the priests of these religious principles, also become proportionately degraded. If one ascribes the prestige of a Satya Yuga Brahmana to a Kali Yuga Brahmana, the result is simply a distortion of truth. If one offers a Brahmana more respect than he deserves, then the glories of he who offers the respect will increase, and the respected Brahmana's affection for him will increase. But if a respected Brahmana forgets his actual position out of pride, then when he remembers the following statement of the Vishnu Yamala, who it quotes Vishnu Yamala, he will be agitated and lose sleep at night, as previously confirmed by Manu. When those Brahmanas who know the condemnations of the Vishnu Yamala hear such things, they should keep their mouths shut. The Yamala says, quote, "The Brahmanas born in Kali Yuga are impure and no better than Shudras," unquote. In Kali Yuga, or the age of quarrel, seminal lines are not pure, so those born as Brahmanas are equal to Shudras, and qualified only in name. Such Brahmanas cannot be purified by Vedic rituals, rather they can be purified by following the Tantras. Tantras means the Vaishnava scriptures and Vaishnava principles. Has the king of Smritis, Hari Bhakti Vilas, been neglected by such persons because the above verse from the Vishnu Yamala is quoted at the beginning of its 5th Vilas? This age of Kali, so anything is possible. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 11.7.5, it is stated, quote, "O gentle one, the people in Kali Yuga will be addicted to all types of sinful activities." Okay, so that's text 5, and moving right along to text 6. It's heavy. Now you should completely give up all attachment to your personal friends and relatives, not the eternal, explains, not the eternal associates, but just the material affection. Something very similar to what Queen Kunti says. Krishna is saying to Uddhava. What Kunti says is, please remove my attachment to the Vrishnis and the Pandavas, the material portion. So what to speak of? Anyway, we'll hear. And fix your mind on me. Thus, being always conscious of me, you should you should observe all things with equal vision and wander throughout the earth. Now he's telling him don't stay here, and then he's telling him to wander about the earth because he has some service for him. Here's Bhaktisiddhanta's presentation of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. Lord Krishna thought as follows, quote, While remaining on earth, I satisfied the desires of all those who sincerely wanted to see me. I married many thousands of women, headed by Rukmini, whom I had kidnapped. And I killed many demons in various places by various contrivances. I attended the religious functions organized by my friends and relatives, so that I performed many wonderful pastimes for the satisfaction of my devotees. Paragraph. I gave my personal association to all the great devotees in the lower planets. Just to please my mother, Devaki, I returned her 6 dead sons who had been killed by Kamsa. I went to Sutala and blessed my great devotee Bali Maharaj. To return the dead son of my spiritual master, Sandipani Muni, I personally went to Yamaraj and gave him my audience. I even benedicted the residents of heaven with my personal association when I went there to take the Parijata flower from my wife Satyabhama. I traveled to Maha Vaikuntha Loka to recover the dead children of a Brahmana. In this way, all the devotees who sincerely desired to see me received the fulfillment of their desires. However, Narayan Rishi and the great sages who reside with him at Badrikashram, although hoping to see me, had never had their desire fulfilled. I've been on this earth for 125 years, and so the duration of my stay has reached its limit. Being busy with my pastimes, I had no time to see these great sages. And yet, Uddhava is almost as good as me. He is a pure devotee who has been awarded my transcendental opulence. I therefore consider him to be the right person for me to send to Badrikashram. I shall impart transcendental knowledge to Uddhava. That's Uddhava Gita. So that anyone who receives it from him will be detached from material existence. That's why the mission, the service that he had for him. He is the right person to impart this knowledge to the sages at Badrikashram. He can teach them the procedures for rendering devotional service unto me. Loving devotional service rendered to me is the most valuable treasure available in this world. By receiving this knowledge, the desires of Narayana and the other great sages will be fulfilled. Continuing, Krishna's speaking. The great souls who have surrendered unto me are enriched with transcendental knowledge and detached from the material world. Sometimes, being fully engaged in my devotional service, they may seemingly forget me. But a pure devotee who possesses love for me will always be protected by his sincere devotion. If such a devotee unexpectedly meets with death while forgetting to keep his mind fixed upon me, his love for me is so strong that it will give him protection, so that he will eventually attain my lotus feet, which are beyond the vision of materialistic persons. Uddhava is my pure devotee, because he can never give up my association." Unquote. While contemplating in this way, Sri Krishna inspired Sriman Uddhava to inquire about transcendental knowledge, renunciation, and devotional service to him. He said to Uddhava, quote, "You should give up affection for your relatives and friends in the Yadu dynasty. This affection of Uddhava towards the members of the Yadu dynasty are of two types. One, bodily relationships with the Yadus, two, relationships in regard to Krishna. Of the above two, Uddhava is advised to give up the former, not the latter. The Lord will explain to Uddhava how to give up this attachment. As far as the latter relationship is concerned, Uddhava is incapable of giving it up. This relationship is not condemned. Uddhava is certainly aware of Krishna's mentality." Nice instructions. Yukta Vairagya, Lord Chaitanya's Yukta Vairagya teaching, Rupa Goswami expressing it that way. Here's the BBT commentary. I'm reading fast because there's a lot of text. Srimad Veera Raghava Acharya, he is in the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. They He wrote a commentary on Bhagavatam, and from time to time Prabhupada cites his commentary. Srimad Veera Raghava Acharya has explained the concept of equal vision as follows. Samadrik Sarvasya Brahmatmaka Vanu Sandhana Rupa Samadrishtaman. Or, one who is on the path of self-realization should always endeavor to see the ultimate spiritual nature of all existence, unquote. The word Mayi in this verse means Paramatmani. One should fix one's mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the source of everything. Thus, as one passes one's life on the earth using up one's allotted time, one should practice seeing all things and all people as part and parcel of the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead. Since all living entities are part and parcel of Krishna, ultimately, they all have the same spiritual status. The material nature, also, being an emanation of Krishna, has a similar spiritual status. But although matter and spirit are both emanations from the personality of Godhead, they do not exist exactly on the same level. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the spirit soul is the superior energy of the Lord, whereas the material nature is his inferior energy. However, since Lord Krishna is equally present in all things, the word samadrik in this verse indicates that one must ultimately see Krishna within everything and everything within Krishna. Thus, equal vision is compatible with mature knowledge of the varieties present within this world. Paragraph. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments as follows on this verse, quote, at the end of his manifest pastimes on the earth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna thought as follows within his mind. Quote, so this is, we already got a gloss from Bhaktisiddhanta. Here comes the BBT summarizing. During my pastimes on the earth, I have satisfied the desires of all those devotees who anxiously desire to see me. I have duly married many thousands of queens headed by Rukmini, whom I personally kidnapped, and I have killed innumerable demons in various places by various means. I have attended meetings, reunions, and ceremonies with many friends, relatives, and well-wishers in the cities such as Vrindavan, Mathura, Dwarka, Hastinapur, and Mithila, and I have kept constantly busy, coming and going in the performance of pastimes. I further arranged to give my personal association to great devotees who are situated below the earthly planet in order to please my mother Devaki and return her 6 deceased sons who were killed by Kamsa. I descended to the planet Sutala and blessed my great devotee Bali Maharaj in order to return the dead son of my spiritual master Sandipani Muni. I personally went to the court of Ravinandana or Yamaraj, and thus he was able to see me face to face. I even blessed the residents of heaven, such as Mother Aditi and Kashyapa Muni, with my personal association when I traveled there to steal the Parijata flower from my wife Satyabhama, and in order to please the inhabitants of Mahavishnu's abode, such as Nanda, Sunanda, and Sudarshana, I traveled to Mahavaikuntha to recover the deceased children of a frustrated Brahmana. Thus, innumerable devotees who ardently desired to see me have received the object of their prayers. Unfortunately, Narayana Rishi and the great Paramahansa sages who live with him in Badrik Ashram, although most enthusiastic to see me, never had their desire fulfilled. I've been on earth for 125 years, and the scheduled time is now up. Being busily engaged in my pastimes, I did not have time to give my blessings to these great sages. Nevertheless, Uddhava is practically the same as me. He is a great devotee and shares my own transcendental opulences. Thus, he is the right person for me to send to Badrik Ashram. I shall give Uddhava complete transcendental knowledge by which one becomes detached from the material world, and He in turn can deliver this knowledge, the science of transcending the kingdom of illusion, to the worthy sages at Badarikashram. In this way, he can teach them the method of rendering loving devotional service to my lotus feet. Such devotional service, rendered to me, is the most valuable treasure. And by hearing such knowledge, the desires of the great sages, such as Narayana, will be completely fulfilled. Continuing. Those great souls who have surrendered unto me are always equipped with transcendental knowledge and detachment from the material world, sometimes being busy with their devotional service. They may appear to forget me. However, a pure devotee who has achieved the platform of love for me will always be protected by such sincere devotion. Even if such a devotee should suddenly give up his life while neglecting to fix his mind intensely on me, such a devotee's loving feelings are so powerful that they will afford him all protection. Even if there is a temporary moment of forgetfulness, such devotion will bring the devotee to my lotus feet, which are beyond the vision of ordinary materialistic persons. Uddhava is my pure devotee. Knowledge of me and detachment from this world have again been aroused in him because he can never give up my association. Vishwanath continues. The sincere servants of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are vigorously endeavoring to spread this Krishna consciousness movement for the pleasure of their spiritual master and Lord Krishna. At the present time, thousands of devotees. Oh, wait a minute. In the Krishna consciousness movement. This doesn't sound like... Oh, this is BBT commentary. Okay. The sincere servants of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are vigorously endeavoring to spread this Krishna consciousness movement for the pleasure of their spiritual master, Lord Krishna. At the present time, thousands of devotees in the Krishna consciousness movement in all parts of the world are working long hours under difficult conditions to distribute transcendental literature and thus enlighten the general populace. In this effort, the devotees have no personal motivation, but are simply desirous of pleasing their spiritual master by distributing his books. The people who receive this literature usually have no previous experience of Krishna consciousness, yet they are so impressed by the purity of the devotees they meet that they eagerly purchase the books and magazines. In order to execute the tremendous task of spreading Krishna consciousness, the devotees are tirelessly laboring day and night because they are on the platform of loving devotion. Although superficially such busy devotees may occasionally not think directly of the lotus feet of Krishna, such loving devotion will undoubtedly take them back to Krishna's lotus feet, and, being pleased by their service, the Lord himself will again arouse their unflinching meditation upon his personal form. This is the beauty of Bhakti Yoga, which depends wholly and solely on the mercy of the all-merciful personality Godhead Sri Krishna. This is the only totally safe means of uprooting the deep desires for material enjoyment, attaining pure love for Krishna, and going beyond the material universe of the kingdom of God. Goes on for a few more paragraphs. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 2.40, Neha bhakramana shosti pratyavayo nividyate swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahatobayat. Lord Krishna also advised Arjuna in this verse to give up the illusory attachment to so-called friends and family within this material world. One may not be able to physically give up the association with family and friends, but one should understand that everyone and everything is part and parcel of God and is meant for the pleasure of God. As soon as one thinks, this is my personal family, immediately one will see the material world as no more than a place for enjoying family life. As soon as one is attached to one's so-called family, false prestige and material possessiveness arise. Actually, everyone is part and parcel of God and therefore on the spiritual platform related to all other entities. This is called Krishna Sambandha, or the constitutional relationship with Krishna. It is not possible to advance to the highest stage of spiritual awareness and at the same time maintain a petty material concept of society, friendship, and love. One should experience all relationships on the higher spiritual platform of Krishna Sambandha, which means seeing everything in relation to Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead. Paragraph. One who is situated in his constitutional relationship with Krishna can see all things in relation to Krishna. Thus, he gives up the mundane urge of the body, mind, and speech, and travels throughout the earth as a devotee of the Lord. Such a highly elevated personality is called Goswami, or the master of the senses. This stage is described in Bhagavad Gita 18:54 by the words Brahmabhuta Prasanatma. On the spiritual platform, one attains complete satisfaction. Even reading fast, it's taking a lot. Bhakti Siddhanta is much shorter. The devotees of the Lord are equipoised because they see all material objects in relationship with Krishna. Those whose hearts are steady do not become entangled in material affection in the form of aversion to Krishna, and thus do not consider their non-devotee relatives as the objects of their sense gratification. Since those persons who see everything in relation to Krishna wander about this world while giving up the urges of the mind, speech, and body, they are fit to be called devotees of the Lord, or Goswamis. Paragraph. The purport of the Brahmabhuta Prasanatma verse of Bhagavad Gita is the perfect example of seeing all objects with equal vision. Let's see here. Vishwanath. The Lord thought within himself, I have fulfilled the desires of my devotees on earth who desire to see me by going to places like Indraprastha and Mithila, and thus killing Bana and other demons, marrying Rukmini, and meeting friends. I have shown myself to those on lower planets such as Bali Maharaj and Yamaraj. When I went there to retrieve the 6 sons of my Guru, I have shown myself to Aditi and Kashyapa in Svarga, when I stole the Parijata tree, and to Mahavishnu and others in Vaikuntha when I went to retrieve the sons of the Brahmana. I have not fulfilled the longing of the great sages of Badarikashram, such as Narayan. So you know that story. Though Uddhava already has Gyan and Vairagya arising from his full prema for me, he has no desire at the moment for separate teachings of Jnana and Vairagya taught by me. I will produce a desire in him, since this is my desire. Though he should die in sudden separation from me, I will preserve his life by my strong Ichcha Shakti and send him to that far-off place. I will then establish him by my side, invisible to the material eye. Considering in this way, the Lord then imparted the desire for Bhakti Yoga, along with Gyan and Vairagya, in the heart of Uddhava. That was Vishwanath. Jiva Goswami Krama Sandarbha is really short. It's taken from Bhakti Sandarbha, text 66, or Anuchej 66. Using Uddhava, whom Krishna accepted as being as good as himself, stated in Canto 3, Chapter 4, text 31, he's as good as myself. Through him, Krishna gives instructions to others in this verse. This should be understood in other situations also. The order should be interpreted to mean, quote, the devotee following your path should wander the earth, unquote. The devotee should have equal vision, seeing nothing except the Lord. Thus, he does not see good and bad at all. The word tu indicates rejection of everything material. And there's a longer explanation in Bhakti Sandarbha, but I think I'll pause out here. Now, compliments of Shruti. Let's take a look at the screen here. Interesting graphics. Look at the colors, look at the faces. She really did a great job. Because people in Kali Yuga are addicted to polluted sinful activities, they are always angry, lusty, and frustrated. Because remember, after Krishna departs, shortly after Krishna departs, Kali Yuga begins. Krishna knows that. And he doesn't want Uddhava to be subject to these things or the association of these kinds of people. Then, same from the purport, in Kali Yuga, the devotees of the personality of Godhead who are engaged in the ever-increasing loving service of the Lord should never be attracted to living on the earth, the population of which is covered in the darkness of ignorance and devoid of any loving relationship with the Lord. Thus, the Lord advised Uddhava not to remain on the earth in Kali Yuga. Interesting graphics again. And another. Therefore, every living being should take advantage of the pressures of Kali Yuga to understand the overall useless nature of the material world and surrender himself at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. And one text from verse number 6. The spirit soul is the superior energy of the Lord, whereas the material nature is his inferior energy. However, since the Lord is equally present in all things, the word samadrik in this verse indicates that one must ultimately see Krishna within everything and everything within Krishna. Now, she did a really good job of taking that image that's Paramatma manifest in the hearts of all those different forms of life, and putting it, off in the forest somewhere. I don't know how she did what she did, but one more, and we're done. Lord Krishna also advised Uddhava in this verse to give up the illusory attachment to the so-called friends and family within this material world. One may not be able to physically give up association with family and friends, but one should understand that everyone and everything is part and parcel of God and is meant for the pleasure of God. That it's not giving up the association, it's giving up the illusory attachment. So, illusory attachment is one thing, and physical association is another thing. Illusory attachment. So there has to be, we discussed this many times, there has to be some attachment. It's not relationship if there's not attachment. But it should not be illusory attachment or excessive attachment or the kind of attachment that causes forgetfulness of who they are and who Krishna is and who you are and the mission of life. There has to be attachment, but not the illusory. The illusory means forgetfulness of Krishna attachment to that degree. And that means the family members, as the image shows, Krishna is in their heart and their spirit soul part and parcel of Krishna. And the whole mission of family life and human life is come closer to God consciousness for the pleasure of Krishna. Strive together to please Krishna. That's the mission. And that's the message to Uddhava. And that's the message to us. Yukta Vairagya. Okay, it's 10 after 8. and a lot of reading and not so much explanation and discussion, but we've been at it for 40 minutes, so let's see if there's some discussion. Yes?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. It's not an maybe
Comment?
Comment. I'm thinking I may ask question to Maharaj.
Okay.
I can relate myself on the illusory attachment place. Illusory attachment. So I'm very much relate to that, the position right now I am. So can you say something?
The question is what to do. Yeah, maybe. Well, bhakti is what to do, and bhakti, that is for the pleasure of Krishna purpose, as that gets stronger, the illusory attachment subsides. The higher purpose of everything and relationships with everything and everyone takes its, replaces the illusory attachment. One phrase that I like from earlier, not Uddhava Gita, but earlier discussions, Brahma's prayers, the world should be seen as paraphernalia to be offered to Krishna. And similarly, the souls covered by bodies and the paraphernalia connected with those bodies, that's also opportunity for service to Krishna. And family life is one of those opportunities for service to Krishna. Now, as long as it's not something strident or harsh, it's something that's spiritual and natural and soothing. And minus the spiritual, natural, and soothing, it becomes disruptive. There's expectations, etc., and disappointments that expectations aren't met, and not accepting diversity, and you got to be like this instead of like that. And anyway, the harmony of being in relationships with others becomes lost when there's illusory attachment. So how to convert that? By bhakti. Okay, anything else?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj, I wanted to know, Krishna wanted Uddhava to stay on the earth to give transcendental knowledge and share his pastimes with others. And I want to know, how long did Uddhava stay?
Could you put the microphone closer to your mouth? You wanted to know?
Yeah, how long did Uddhava stay on earth? Because
I don't know.
Oh, okay, no problem.
I can research a bit, but I don't know.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
Guru Maharaj, I also wanted to know, I think this question is covered already in previous classes, but in the same lifetime or in the same yoga, like that is Dwapar Yoga, so Krishna had to advise Arjuna as well as Uddhava, so both Bhagavad Gita and Uddhava Gita happens in one yoga.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So the purpose was both for spreading the transcendental knowledge.
Yes. Yes, exactly. I mean, by divine arrangement, they both had a little bit of a lapse. In Uddhava's case, perhaps because of his intense attachment and not wanting to see Krishna leave or wanting to go with Krishna. And in Arjuna's case, it's not, he wasn't anticipating Krishna was going to leave. He wasn't bewildered by that. The question was different. It was what's duty. So the purpose is different, but the subject matters covered are quite the same, and the effect is also quite the same. Dispelling of illusion and connecting to Krishna. and being ready to do whatever Krishna wants.
So Guru Maharaj, was Arjuna also attached to Krishna like Uddhava was?
He's his dear friend and devotee. But there was a lapse. He was saying no. I know you're saying yes, and I don't know why you're saying yes, because look at this and look at that. So there was a lapse.
Sure.
By internal potency arrangement. Okay.
Can I ask one more question,
Yeah, sure.
Guru Maharaj? It's from a previous class, long back.
Okay.
I was listening to one of the classes, Guru Maharaj. In very simple words, you explained the difference between karma, vikarma, and akarma. So the karma is doing prescribed duties, and akarma is doing prescribed duties, keeping Krishna in the center. So when I try to perform spiritual services,
When you try to perform spiritual
services, the devotional services,
okay.
I feel sometimes I get deviated from my duties, which is I'm a housewife, so I have to take care of my house, my children, my son, and my husband. So I feel sometimes I get deviated, Guru Maharaj. So
You see sometimes what?
deviated from my duty.
You become deviated.
Yes, Guru
Okay.
Maharaj. So will that be a vikarma then, Guru
No,
Maharaj?
it's a lapse.
Like, what should I do about it, Guru
What should
Maharaj?
you
I want to do more.
Stay on course. When you find yourself veering off course, get back on course. And there are ways to help do that. Guru Sadhu Shastra are the principal ways, and your sadhana as well. And good association will get you back on course. But it's not vikarma. It's, Krishna doesn't hold you responsible for sinful activity by lapse. Unsteady bhakti is not sinful activity. Okay?
Sure. One more question, Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj, one more thing. I don't know how to frame this question, but just keeping Krishna in heart and understanding the Ishavasya principle and having the love and understanding everything about life and Krishna, is that enough? Or do we have to do anything else?
It sounds pretty good package to me. But, what's enough? When does the bell ring that says, okay, that's enough? That, that's a frame, and then within the frame comes bhakti. And the bhakti is never enough. Get used to it.
Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj.
Okay. Online?
I have one question, just to check my understanding is correct, Maharaj. If here Krishna advises Uddhava to not remain in, he says leave this place.
Not remain
in the Kali Yuga.
Okay.
Leave this place. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all our acharyas, as you mentioned, that they say Mama Janmani Janmani Ishwari Bhavatat. So my
We
understanding.
touched on this already, didn't we? It's a contradiction. Don't stay, and wherever you go is okay. Stay here, it's okay.
Okay, so
That looks like a contradiction.
no, I'm not talking. I'm thinking that for a highly realized soul, he may think of this place, that place.
Yes,
but in
yes.
general, for person like me,
Yes.
going back is here.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. Then we're going online. So get ready.
I have this question that
You're on.
Uddhava Gita and the first Gita that Krishna spoke to Arjun they were in the same Yuga, but why Arjun Gita is more propagated than Uddhav Gita?
Why Arjuna did what?
Why Arjun Gita is more propagated than Uddhav Gita?
Why Arjuna did what?
Arjun Gita is, Bhagavad Gita is more propagated than Uddhav
More
Gita.
propagated. Why is it more propagated? Perhaps because it's ABC, and Uddhava Gita is more elevated, although the ABC principles are there, but it's more elevated. That's one. There may be other reasons. You know, the text of Bhagavad Gita is within Mahabharata, and at least people in India are interested in India, the bodily conception of life, you know, the history of Greater India. So that may be another reason. It's the philosophical portion within the history literature, the itihasa of their country and their ancestors, and you know, it to me it seems natural that people are interested in their land. You know, materially, it's natural. And it's not that Uddhava is from some foreign land, but you know, the whole text is specifically Mahabharata's Greater India. So that may be another reason, a factor. And it is, for beginning literature, it is a little more approachable. Okay.
The three questions. Maharaj. First question from Sucharita. Bali Maharaj is a devotee of the Lord. Is that understanding correct? If yes, why is he sent to a lower planet?
He's not only a devotee of the Lord, he's one of the 12 Mahajan personalities. He's a pure devotee. He is an Uttama Bhakta. He demonstrated that through his submission to Vamana. So why the Lord sent him there? Some service. Why does he send anybody anywhere? So why there? What's the service there? You know, giving association to residents of such places so that they can become elevated, and he would not be contaminated by their unwholesomeness, and they would be elevated by his wholesomeness.
Question from Sri Radhika Mata. Can you please clarify how Arjuna, who is a jiva, is present at the same time in another form as Nara, as part of Nara Narayana Rishi?
Pretty mystical, huh? And the answer is given in Brihat Bhagavatamrita by Narada to Gopakumar, by his explanation that devotees of the Lord, for service of the Lord, have our expansions in many places simultaneously to assist the Lord in his service. Now, it doesn't, how that works, it's one thing to say, no problem, Krishna can expand himself unlimitedly because he's unlimited. But a jiva is limited. So how a jiva can be expanded in multiple places simultaneously by the Lord's divine arrangement, and how that works, you know, what's the technology of it? No explanation, other than for service to the Lord that can happen. And sometimes it happens.
Question from Chinmay. How much or till what upper limit actually can one go when it is said that everything can be used in Krishna's service through Yukta Vairagya?
Well, not everything can be utilized in Krishna service according to the Yukta Vairagya principle, because some things are just not utilizable in Krishna service. So that the limit is according to codes of Dharma. Utilization doesn't transgress codes of Dharma unless the direct indication of a higher Dharma is given by Krishna, like telling a lie or something. Then so when Dharma is, when you're within the boundaries of Dharma, that's the limit. And outside the boundaries of Dharma, that's beyond the limit of Yukta Vairagya.
Snehavalli Mataji. So just to confirm the understanding, Naranarayana rishis were Paramahamsa sages. They only wanted Krishna's association, but the associates of Naranarayana were not on Prema Bhakti stage. So they will get purified by Uddhava's association. Is this correct?
Yes.
Last question from Girivaradhari Prabhu. As Arjuna was Grahastha, who has family attachments, had family attachments, does Uddhava was also a Grahastha, as he was getting teachings of family attachments in Uddhava Gita?
I don't recall. Does anybody know? Probably, but I don't know. Probably, but I don't know. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada ki jai.